And the Daily Graphic, and I'd like to start at the back page. Farmlands submerged by floods in North. Now, farmers who have their farms along the downstream portion of the White and Black Volta rivers are bearing the brunt of the spillage of excess water from the Bagre and Kompienga dams in Burkina Faso. As large tracts of land have been submerged by floodwaters. So far, no life has been lost. The National Disaster Management Organization is reviewed. However, maize, soybeans, rice, and vegetable farms along the river have been swept away, leaving the affected farmers devastated. Now, a number of downstream communities in the West Mamprugu municipality, Mamprugu, Mwaduri, Kumbungu, Talensi districts in the northern, upper east, and northeast regions were also not spared. And checks by the Daily Graphic indicate that as of Tuesday, farmlands in the lowland areas were all submerged. For instance, at Du, which is the hometown of Muftar Nabila, and Basenkpe communities in the West Mamprusi municipality, the situation appeared to be more overwhelming as farmlands were completely wiped out. At Pualugu, vegetable farmers are at the receiving end of the disaster. And the flood, coupled with the recent drought that destroyed farmlands across northern Ghana, have worsened the plight of farmers, with many uncertain about how to survive up to the next crop season. And I started with this for a reason. See, I just don't get it. In 2000, we did the Up to Us campaign.
Yep.
Where many of you donated money, cash, and items, which we sent to the good people of northern Ghana who were affected by the spillage of the Bagre Dam. Because every year we know that it will spill. In the past we said, oh, they don't inform us. Now they inform us. And we said because of the continuous spillage, we were going to build a dam. The biggest investment in northern Ghana, which was supposed to deal with this situation. And that's why when I got to Pualugu, I reiterated Pualugu. Because you see, I just don't get it. Leaders solve problems. Okay? Leaders solve problems. They don't explain problems. And politics is supposed to be the art of the possible. We must get things done. Unfortunately, in Ghana, we never get things done. In Ghana, anytime we even pretend to do something right, we end up fleecing the people and enriching ourselves.
We don't end up. That's how we start off. Man can't say it happens by accident.
Look, because whatever we seek to do, most of the times, is just to enrich individuals and not to make sure the communities benefit. Look at it today. Dry spell. And yesterday I was having a conversation with Fentiu. He told me how he, Fentiu, had lost some 20 acres of maize farm. 20. In fact, the fertilizer that he has to apply for an acre is even more than the 1,000 cedis that they are promising for a hectare. And this is a country. The last time I drove past, Asuchari, I was going through Akuse, went past Asuchari and all those areas. George, I saw attempts at irrigation by General Achampong in the 70s.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw them. And I saw people even making use of it up to today.
Yeah. He built dikes. Big dikes,
yes,
to dam the water.
And it's been how many years after Champon left office? He left in 1978. It's been 46 long years. What have we done?
And Winston, for me, it comes back to my concern yesterday about what would be the state of compensation to these farmers. Because again, you realize that now more of two troubles, one God. In one breath, we're dealing with the dry spell situation. Now it appears that we are having this flooding issue. Now, whatever that they've sunk into these farms, they are not going to get it back. How do we ensure that whatever loans that they've taken from these banks to do these things, they are feeding people and all that? Yesterday, we spoke to the Greater Accra, and there was a story on Business News this morning about the poultry farmers also complaining about their feed as well, and even the level that the amount that is left to survive them as poultry farmers as well. And so, what is the state of compensation for these farmers who have lost all these things?
You see,
and how we can restore them back to their original position?
the farmers would have to be assisted. I definitely agree with you. But this is my problem. When every year we know we're going to, it's not like a hurricane that you say, we just realized we're going to be experiencing one.
They write us letters.
Every year.
They write us letters.
They prepare up from.
No, hold on. This is a ritual. Okay, this is a ritual. So you know that every year it's going to happen. You know that every year, and we got the letter from the Burkina Faso authorities.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not a natural disaster. It's not like, you don't know it's going to happen to you. You know it is going to happen to you.
Yeah.
So if you know something is going to happen to you, what you do is actually to prepare towards it. You prepare towards it every time. Unfortunately, we never prepare for anything.
Can I say this about this Bagre Dam project? You know, I was watching a video on social media, one of these celebrated psychiatrists giving some advice. Someone was asking, how do I know if I'm a good person? And he said, well, it's simple. If you ask yourself an honest question, ask yourself, do you leave people better than when you found them? If you leave people in a better position than you found them, then you're a good person. If you leave people in a worse position than you found them, you're a bad person. I think this applies to presidents. You are a good president if you leave a nation better than you found it. You are a bad president if you leave a nation worse than you found it. Winston talked about the Up to Us campaign, which I started here on Joy in 2021, and the whole team here at Joy backed this campaign and made it a big national event with people bringing in donations from everywhere, all businesses, organizations. We worked hard to raise donations to help the people of the North, and I went there myself. When I went, the farmers, they said, could you come? They took me to a farm, and they showed me the spot where, and this farm is where President Akufo-Addo came to cut sod for the Pualugu Dam project. And they showed me where he stood, where the stage was, where the lectern was, where he stood, and promised the people of the North that this was the biggest investment any government had ever made in the North, and it was going to solve this Bagre Dam spillage problem. It was going to bring irrigation, electricity, everything to the North. They showed me the spot where he stood. And George, Winston, in order for me to stand in that spot, I was waist deep in water. I stood waist deep in water. If it was President Akufo-Addo, I'm sure it would have been even higher. But that's where he stood to promise them the solution to the problem I was standing in that day. The problem that had washed away the livelihoods of thousands of farmers. They told me their wives don't even want to talk to them anymore because they've racked up debts in the market and the farmers can't pay because this was their only source of income. And as a nation, we couldn't plan. We couldn't plan to protect ourselves from the spillage of a dam, something that we are warned about every year. And by the way, they will spill Bagre Dam next year too. They will. Just in case you guys want to pretend as if it will be a surprise to you. Again, next year. Let me remind whomever is going to be president of Ghana that they will spill Bagre Dam again next year. What's your solution? You see, we don't have transformational leaders. You see, we never get presidents that can move the country forward. So let me ask you again. Is our president a good president? Is he leaving Ghana better than he found it? I'll leave it there.
And as you leave it there, so I was talking about the Achampong situation, okay, and a very good friend, so Eugene Osetutu actually sent this to me. Eugene in Kumasi sent this to me, and Eugene, good morning, and thank you very, very much. Okay, so Achampong, Kojo, this is a document. Let me just share this document with you. So this is the document. It says irrigable potential of some irrigation projects compiled from the Food and Agriculture Organization in 1985. This was compiled in 1985 from FAO 1985. Okay, Accra Plains at the time. So this is the irrigation project, Accra Plains. You have the Adidome, Apipe, Afram Plains, Akumadan, Ashaiman, Asuchari, Aveime, Keta, Ayensu, Bontanga, Bui, Dowenya, Dimon, Godin, Golinga, the inland valleys, Kikam, Komenda, Bon Farms, Mankesim. Then you have Nobwam, Ochirikumpo, Alugu, Passam, Sata. And the list goes on and on and on and on. This is 1980. It was compiled in 1985.
So there was a plan all along over
No,
the
they were
years
there. They were there. Oh,
be-
but yesterday I shared that document with you. Many of these irrigation dams are not functioning. We have destroyed them. We have destroyed them.
It is utterly shameful.
Still on
Shameful.
the front. Now let me get to the front page. I just decided to bring this in. The front page, boosting regional security. We must unite to fight terrorism. President Akufo-Addo to African nations. And Minister Hill's graphic Zoom Lion Cleanest Region Ranking Initiative. Iyoko wins 4 Audit Excellence Awards. Comes with a photograph of COP Mamiya Tiwa Dodankwa, who is Executive Director of Iyoko, with one of those awards. Make teaching of mathematics interesting. Dr. Angela Tebri and treats teachers. So, the Ghanaian mathematician and the winner of the world's most interesting mathematician 2024 award, Dr. Angela Tebri, said every aspect of life involved around mathematics. So the way we teach maths must change. Could you? One for you. The way we teach maths.
It must change. I had a nightmare learning maths in
really?
school. Yeah, I had a nightmare. And I mean, I squarely blame my teachers. They made me
really?
terrified of it, yes. They made me terrified of the subject, and I still am to this day.
Oh.
Even though I start to realize that I actually do have a head for maths. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but when we are trying to calculate something in our heads in the studio, I'm usually the first to the answer.
Oh, okay.
But I'm terrible at maths.
Okay.
Terrible.
Interesting.
Anyway.
Well, I mean, I brought this because you're right, and I know there are many people who can, who can relate, because a lot of the maths teachers in our schools were deemed as very wicked.
You make it scary, eh?
Scary. The maths and French teachers were the most wicked teachers in those days. But you know,
mental.
I think that it's a problem with our instruction. I mean, with how we teach.
Mode of education.
Look, I read English at the university. When I got to the third year or so, look, from the second year, then I had a better understanding of the things we had been taught since class 1. When I got to the final year, I was now studying theories of grammar. But you know what? That is something I did in level 100 in French. And I felt we should have been taught this in level 100. Because it actually explains a lot of the things you may have difficulties with to you. So you're right, a lot of our maths teachers didn't help. But you know, my maths teacher one day left the classroom when somebody said, "Sir, please, I don't understand. Can you go over again?" He says, "What don't you understand?" Packed his books and left the classroom. Because this is too simple. This is too easy. In his own words, this is too easy.
And you spoke about French, and one of my uncles always said one thing that he wouldn't forgive the late President Dr. Kwame Nkrumah for was not to make French compulsory, because you're surrounded by French-speaking countries, and to make French a compulsory language for all of us to learn from the basic schools up to junior and then the senior high schools and all the rest.
George, the way we teach French in this country, if you make French compulsory, people will still not be able to speak French.
Well, it's
Yes,
debatable.
I mean the way we teach French, how do we teach
It's
French in this
debatable.
country? Conjuguer le verbe manger, je mange, tu manges, il mange, nous mangeons, vous mangez, il ou elle mange. End of story.
So-
Look, the maths thing, maths teachers really have to hold themselves to a higher standard.
Oh.
I'm remembering what my maths teacher said to me first day in form 2 August school. Brother Mike walks into the class, writes his name on the board and says, "Maths is hard. Not all of you will pass." And then took delight in spending the whole term terrorizing us, consistently reminding us that the thing he's teaching is hard. It's kind of like something they do to make themselves feel good, that they have mastered a subject and you can't, so they are better than you.
So, what's the
Anyway.
name of the teacher? Brother Mike.
Brother Mike,
Brother Mike. Brother
Anyway, let's
Mike.
get to the
Brother
online.
Mike traumatized me for
I think
maths
they should share
forever.
their math.
Then when you
Yeah.
ask
Tell us about your maths
when you ask
teachers.
statistics to it to us, what would I
Yeah.
going to say?
when you add what to it?
Statistics.
Oh, not so that
by that time,
university level. I mean, and when she talks about
Econometrics.
maths, when she talks about maths, it reminds me of the current deputy communication director of the NPP, Asidu Kukru, who was my mate at the University of Cape Coast studying maths and stats. When he sees you, he says, "Look, maths." He also says, "Everything we do, you come in with natural variable." Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you
Anyway,
add the
let's-
econometrics to it as well.
Yeah.
Massa, stop it right there. Let's continue.